أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا صلى الله على محمد وعلى محمد. We are discussing the great flood, of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. If you recall last week, that he asked his son to join him, and the son refused. I think that's where we were. And he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah answered him very tensely. So what is the duration of this flood? There are some accounts in Bible, that say that it was for 6 months. Flood. In Genesis, they talk about the flood, if you recall, and the duration they talk about is there are certain differences there, in Bible itself, but that, in the extent of the flood, for example, was a global flood or a local flood? That's one big issue. They say the book of Genesis came around 5th before Christ, 5th century before Christ. The flood occurred much earlier, of course, probably 3,000 years before Christ. So account in the Bible then differs, because there are certain scholars who go for the priestly source, which is biblical source, and those who go for non-priestly source, which is non-biblical source. There are those who say that this is a myth and it's inconsistent with the physical finding of geology, archaeology, and so on. And the global distribution of species, that this is just a background which we see in terms of literature available. If you go online, you will find a lot of it. And regarding the ark itself, was it discovered, or what was discovered, was it or not, whatever, you'll find a lot of it. Very strange, but it does occur. Our understanding from Islamic viewpoint is that the flooding was real. As I quoted verse from Surah Hud last week, flooding was real. And the flooding was so intense, that the earth spilled the water up, and from the skies it came down. It poured. So many days. Quran does not give the time. Beauty of Quran is, Allahu Akbar, that Quran is not specific on the dates, because Quran is not a book of history. Quran is a book of guidance. From each and every episode occurring in the history, there is lesson to be learned. And that's what the emphasis of Quran is. Not on the history occurring in terms of days, months or years, but history as a lesson to be learned. It's much different than the book of history. In the book of history, we come up to, days, years, such and such and such and such. For example, the estimate is that the flood of Noah alayhi salam occurred probably 3,500 years ago. 3,000 years ago, whatever it is. Okay? There is some narration, but Quran has shied away from it. Okay? Quran has clearly said that Nuh was a messenger, and Nuh gave the message, and his message was regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? If you recall, in Surah Hud, the 11th Surah of Quran, I quoted the verse 28 last time. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِن كُنْتُ عَلَىٰ بَيِّنَةٍ مِّن رَّبِّي وَآتَانِيَ الرَّحْمَةَ مِنْ عِندِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh my people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with mercy from Himself. I stand on a clear proof, clear proof from my Lord. Okay? So a prophet comes with a proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that proof is clear. Okay? There is no ambiguity in the prophethood, not at all. Okay? Prophets are completely clear, okay? Because they are the recipient of divine light. Okay? It's not from them that they speak. Okay? It is from Allah that they speak. Their selection is based on Allah's will. Okay? Allah's will. Okay? Allah's will. Okay? And they don't ask for any reward. Okay? No prophet is asked for any reward from people. Okay? In the same Surah Hud, verse number 29, Nuh says to his people, Ya qawmi la aslakum alayhi. I don't ask anything. Malan, money. Okay? In ajriya illa ala Allah. My ajr is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My recompense is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't seek any payment from you. No money, nothing. Okay? All I seek is your guidance. And I'm not going to leave those who are with me. Okay? If you recall, people with him were those who were downtrodden. We have seen the history that usually when a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, okay, those in the corridors of power never accept. Why? Because status quo is to their advantage. They keep their power, they keep their authority, okay? They keep the riches, they keep the money and means and the resources. Okay? So they don't want change. Okay? Usually the change is liked by those who are at the lower socioeconomic level. Okay? And to this, they had alluded when they told him, okay, in the earlier verse number 27, okay, just the translation. Malaul ladhina kafaru has been used many times in Quran. Okay? The chiefs, the people in the class, okay, the ruling class, the controlling class, okay, those who are in power, those who are in authority. Okay? They said, we see only as a human being. Yesterday, and the day before, I was talking also about this, that one of the main objections that these people come up against the prophets is that you are a human being like us. Bashar, Mr. Okay? You are a human being like us. Okay? What privilege you have? Who gives the authority? You are a man like us. Okay? You don't have any right. And we see no one who follows you except the lowliest of us. Okay? The same thing was told to the Prophet ﷺ also. Okay? Why? Because Bilal was a slave. Khabab was a slave. Okay? Most of the early adherents of our Prophet were also weak people, okay, in terms of their resources, in terms of man and material, if you call it. This has been constant. If you look at Quran, the most of the time when non-believers led by their rulers, their men of authority, would chant this, "You're a man like us," to knock down the prophethood. So when the slogan is raised, it's not to show equity or equality, that you are like us in a sense, as it seems to be verbally. It is to knock down, okay, the prophethood. Okay. It is said that Abu Sufyan, one of the arch enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, once said in Mecca that if God had to send a prophet, why didn't he make me a prophet? I am a man of means and possessions. I have 1,000 slaves, by the way, you know. He was one of the richest guys around. Okay. Why he picked up Muhammad, the son of Abdullah, an orphan without means? Okay. So that's one thing. So those who were with Nuh alayhi salam on his ark were these poor people, those who were accepted Islam. And they say that there were 80 people who were on the ark. How many? 80. Okay. So whatever the course of the flood was, okay, when the flood receded, okay, we are told that it landed on a mountain tip. Okay. Al-Judi, as it's called in Arabic. Okay. And Ararat, as it's called in English. A-R-A-R-A-T. This place, there is no exact location per se in our times regarding this. Okay. Either it is Armenia, Eastern Turkey, Iran, or northern Iraq. All this area, mountainous area. So one of that place is where, you know, some of the biblical researches have been going on there. As a matter of fact, I think I read somewhere that the Americans had gone to Iran to retrieve something from those mountains. Wallahu alam. Okay. So finally, it lands. Okay. The water recedes. Okay. And for the first time, the earth becomes visible. As we have heard in the past, that his sons, 3 sons were with him. The fourth one, Canaan, known as Yam in Arabic, okay, was the one who drowned, okay, because he refused to join his father on the ark. Okay. And he said that he would be protected by the mountain, even though his father kept on telling him, it's not going to happen. He drowned. Okay. So 3 sons are left. Okay. They are Sam, Ham, and Japheth. Sam is known as Shem in English. Ham is known as Ham, and Japheth is known as Japheth. J-A-P as in Peter, H-E-T-H. Okay. If you read Bible, you'll find that name there. Okay. The discussion of these sons is in Genesis, okay, chapter 5, verse 32, chapter 6, verse 10, chapter 7, verse 30. Book of Genesis, you know, the first part of the Bible. Okay. It is said by their account that Noah was 500 years old when Japheth was born. Okay. Quran does not give the year of birth of anyone. Okay. Once again, as I said, Quran does not talk about history in terms of dates. It alludes to history in terms of lessons being learned. Okay? Sam or Shem is the second, and Ham is the third of the surviving sons. Canaan is a dispute, he was the youngest or the oldest. Okay? Wallahu alam. Okay? Japheth had 7 sons. Ham had 4 sons, and Shem had 5 sons. That's how the humanity spread from the flood of Noah. Okay. There are some revelations that tell us that there was a tablet on the ark of Noah on which certain names were inscribed. Okay. And that was discovered in 1951 by some Russian, group. Okay. They tried to read it. They got a few. This was just immediately after World War II, okay, in 1951. Okay. So there was big cooperation between Russia, Britain, France, and and America at that time. Okay. The Cold War had not started as such. Okay. So scholars from all these countries joined together. This tablet is preserved in the Center of Forces Research in Moscow, Russia, presently Russia, at that time Soviet Union. Okay. And they translated the words into English. I don't know how correct that translation is. Okay. The image of those words are available in some places. I cannot say whether those are correct or not. Okay, it's not my research. But it has been quoted many times over. Okay, and it is said that December 28, 1953 edition of Weekly Mirror from America, from England, okay, quoted these names. Okay, the translation of these names into English. Okay, and then the next year, this was in December 28, 1953. Next year, in January 23rd, 1954, Manchester Sunlight, a newspaper in Manchester, okay, quoted. Those words translated into English were, "Oh my God, my helper, keep my hand with mercy, and with your holy personalities, Muhammad, Elia, Shabbar, Shabbir, Fatima." They are the biggest and honorable. The world established for them. Help me by their names. This is the dua of Nuh alayhi salam that was inscribed on the tablet that has been available. Okay. This was also quoted by Al-Huda, which is from Kahira, Egypt, March 31st, 1954. Okay. I don't have copies of any of those editions with me, so I cannot vouch for it, but references to that are there. Okay. I have also seen that inscription in the Syriac language, whatever the language was, okay, as a print of it, I have seen. Okay. I don't know how to translate, okay, but that's what the translation is. And I don't know how authentic that is. They will say it is, maybe it is. Okay. But my personal belief is that without the names of these personalities, okay, Prophet ﷺ and his family, okay, the doors of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't open wide. So they come down from the ark. Okay. They come down from the ark. And now these are the people who are true believers. The 80 couples who are there, and Noah's family. These are true believers because they believed in Noah. Okay, they boarded the ark. Okay, knowing very well the flood around. Okay, and realizing that the Savior is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that it is He who has ordained them through Noah to embark the ark. Okay. It is said that when Noah comes down, again it's discussed in Surah Hud. Okay, I don't know whether I gave that verse last time or not. So verse number 48. Okay. Did I give last time? Verse number 48? Surah Hud, yeah. Up to 49? Okay. So he comes down. Okay. And in Surah Safat, the 37th Surah of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises Noah. Okay. Remember, he is the one who has been steadfast for hundreds of years, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 5 years, 10 years, decades in preaching, and he has never strayed away. وَلَقَدْ نَادَنَا نُوحٌ فَلَنِعْمَ الْمُجِيبُونَ. Okay. And Noah pleaded to us, and we are the best responders. وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ مِنَ الْكَرْبِ الْعَظِيمِ. We salvaged him. Lord is salvage, actually. Okay. Because the destruction was, a softer word is saved him. Okay. But this salvage, okay, when destruction is rampant. Okay. وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ وَأَهْلَهُ مِنَ الْكَرْبِ الْعَظِيمِ وَجَعَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُ هُمُ الْبَاقِينَ. And his progeny we left as survivors to survive. Okay. So the world today, initially, is from the progeny of Noah. That's why Noah is referred to as second Adam. Okay. From his 3 sons, okay, the progeny of Noah, we see millions and billions of people today. Okay. وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. سَلَامٌ عَلَى نُوحٍ فِي الْعَالَمِينَ إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Okay. إِنَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ ثُمَّ أَغْرَقْنَا الْآخِرِينَ. And we destroyed the rest of them. Okay. We left his dhurriyyah, his progeny, and we destroyed the rest of them. Okay. No. That is the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. When you reject the divine dictates, when you revolt against him, okay, eventually the time is going to come. There's going to be reckoning. Okay. It may take hundreds of years. In the case of Noah, so many centuries. Okay. But eventually, okay, the wrath is going to come, and you can't escape it. You or your progenies, over there. Okay. So, Salamun ala Nuhun fil alameen. The blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Nuh. Fil alameen. Not only one alam. Fil alameen. Okay. Remember, your prophet is referred to Rahmatul lil alameen. And Allah refers to himself as Rabbul Alameen. So blessing on Nuh. Salaam ala Nuh fil alameen. Okay. Wherever alam is, the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on Nuh. Okay. Inna kadhalika najzil muhsineen. Okay. And that's how we reward. Okay. Innahu min ibadana al-mu'minin. He was one of our most pious people. Okay. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the reward. So, Safat, the verse is Safat 37th surah, and verse from 75 to 81. Shorter verses, 75 to 81. Okay. And Safat is 37th surah of Quran. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed. And not only that, as a matter of fact, in Surah Bani Israel, for example, the 17th surah of Quran. You know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says? Okay. Look at the verse number 3. وَآتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلْنَاهُ هُدًى لِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ أَلَّا تَتَّخِذُوا مِن دُونِي وَكِيلًا ذُرِّيَّةَ مَنْ حَمَلْنَا مَعَ نُوحٍ. They are from the progeny? Yes. Okay. So we have 3 sons, Japheth, Ham, and Shem. Most of the world today, okay, from Japheth is Asia Minor and part of Europe and complete Asia. From Ham, it's Egypt and Africa, south of Egypt. From Sam, okay, it's Middle East, North Europe, okay, and North America now, because it's inhabited by the immigrants from those lands. Of course, today the world is mixed because one from one place going to another, okay, but generally that was the distribution. Okay. So the sons of Sam, not that son of Sam, okay, but sons of Sam, okay, are Semites. And when we use anti-Semitic, that's where it comes from. Okay. So all Arabs are Semites. It's not only Jews. Okay. All Arabs are Semites. Okay. So it's wrong just to think that only Jews are, Semites. No, everyone. And they're all the descendants of Sam. Okay. Yeah, from his son Sam. Okay. The whole world is descendant of Nuh alayhi salam. Okay. But these people from Middle East, okay, are the descendants of Sam. Okay. Just a little bit of distribution here. Okay. So we can, when we go to Prophet Hud alayhi salam, we know where it's coming from. Okay. So initially, when the ark landed, okay, it was this Middle Eastern area where it landed. Okay. And so the 80 couples were there, and his family all came down. So they established for the first time, okay, a mosque, a place of worship, where Prophet Nuh and his followers worshipped. Remember, at that time they were all believers. There was no non-believer there. Okay. That first generation was all believers. 80 couples. There are different accounts of it. Biblical account is slightly different, once again, in this issue. Okay. And there is, if I can read you what is available. It says that, this is a myth that originated. Okay. And the difference is, that 7 pairs of clean animals, 1 pair of unclean animal, 7 days to gather animals. Okay. And the age of Noah at that time, 500 years. No, 600 years, I'm sorry. 500 years when his first son was born. So at that flood, the first son was 100 years old. That's the biblical account, by the way. Genesis chapter 7 verse 12 says that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Genesis chapter 7 verse 22, 23, everyone is destroyed. And the verse 24, chapter 7 and verse 5 of chapter 8 says flood lasted 150 days. And God promises to know that He is not going to destroy again. That is verse 20 and 22 of chapter 8. Okay. This is a brief biblical account. Okay. Our account is that flood lasted for days and days and days. Not exact how many, few months. Okay. Those who accompanied him were the true believers. Okay. Samanim, 80. Okay. That question whether it was 80 families, means couples, or 80 people. Okay. When we say couples, we mean 80 plus 80, isn't it? Okay. Because couple would have two. Okay. Or 80 people, which means 40 couples. Okay. As far as literature is concerned, most probably it's 80 people, okay, which means 40 couples. Okay. But yes, there are people who say 80 couples. Okay. But understand probably is that it is 40 couples, 80 people. They established an area and call it Samanim. Then they established a marketplace called Sukul Samanim. Okay. The market of 80, yeah. So now, does this 80 include the children of Noah? My understanding is otherwise, but it could, of course. Okay. So Noah, his sons who are in their 80 years or 70 years or 100 years old, okay, must have children also, to understanding. How many of his children were on the ark? Okay, we don't know the exact number. But we know that this was the distribution of children, 7 of Japheth, 4 of Ham, and 5 of Sam. Okay. They multiplied a lot. Okay. And they said that about 200 years, the progenies of these sons stayed in the land, okay, which became the first place where civilization, occurred again after the disaster of the flood. Okay. As the progeny multiplied, they started leaving after 200 years. The first group that left were the children of Ham. They left the central area, okay, which is actually Mesopotamia is called the area between these two great rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, Dajla and Furat as we are called. Okay. That area was the most fertile land. Okay. These two rivers originate from Turkey, okay, go through Syria and end up in Iraq. So this whole area was very fertile area. Okay. So these were left that area Some of them went to current day Arabia, okay, Saudi Arabia, okay, and some went further down.
What about Lebanon, sir? Lebanon?
All its same area, same area.
Syria and Lebanon is almost same.
Yes. Okay. Lebanon was not, it was Mount Lebanon, okay, and that was part of Syria, okay.
Because Lebanon, all these cities
But-
are the oldest.
Oldest cities, yeah. So Babylon was where, you know, Ham's children went, and they went further south, okay, to Egypt, and then to the whole Africa, okay. So that was the first tribe to migrate. Okay. The second tribe was of Sam. Okay. They migrated slightly north, okay, and there, and they were able to, over a period of time, okay, subdue the progeny of Ham and overrule. And the first kingdom, Ashuri kingdom, was established. By the way, Bani Ad were from the progeny of Ham.
And what was their religion?
It's still they were believers. It's still they were believers. Okay. Yes. Okay. The same. Slowly, however, you know, things started changing. The Sam was in the delta area of these rivers. Okay. A part of them went towards known as Or is a word. Okay. And they became the recipient of divine grace, because Prophet Noah was told to make wasiyah for his son Sam, as is here apparent. Okay, and the wasiyah to Sam was to keep on preaching till a prophet by the name of Hud would come. Between the prophets, then, there are those awliya Allah, okay, whose task is to keep on preaching, okay, to keep in. So Sam, okay, became the recipient of this message from Nuh alayhi salam. Okay. And now we see that through him, Hud is established as a prophet, and then Ibrahim alayhi salam also, okay, a major prophet, and then other prophets. And inshallah we'll keep on discussing that. I'm going to talk slightly about Hud alayhi salam, okay, today, okay, so that we are able to, you know, yes.
You said basically that the tribe of
Three sons, Japheth, okay, Ham, and Sam. Okay. One son, Yam, died in the flood. Okay. So his progeny is not there. The progeny of these three sons progressed. Okay. For a couple of 100 years, they stayed in the same area where Nuh alayhi salam had been. Okay. And then slowly they started moving out because, you know, there was no room left, so as to say. Okay. The progeny multiplied immensely. Okay. Those who went out first were the children of Ham, okay. Some of them in Arabia, okay, and then Egypt and South, and Africa, today's Africa. Okay. Then the second to move out was, you know, Japheth, and then eventually Sam also. Okay. All three moved out. But the whole tribes did not move out. I mean, part of them moved out and part stayed. For example, I moved out from Pakistan to America, but my family is still there, for example. Okay. My family came to Pakistan from India. Okay. So that movement does take place, but it does not mean that everyone moved out. Their roots were there, and people moved out. Okay, that's how the world expanded. Okay, so today, if you look at today's map, okay, most of the people in Europe and Asia, okay, Asia Minor and beyond, okay, are the children of Yafis. Okay. Most of the people in Egypt and Africa, North Africa and South Africa, okay, and some parts of Arabia, okay, are the children of Ham. Okay. And most of the people in the Middle East, okay, North Europe, okay, and now America, because Europeans migrate to America, okay, are the children of Sam. You will ask what happened to South America, for example, okay? What happened to indigenous people there, okay? Or indigenous people of Australia, for example, okay? Or indigenous people of India, for example, okay? What happened to them? There are some accounts that these were in cold freeze at that time. It's hard for me to believe that as far as geography is concerned and archaeology is concerned. But there are some accounts, not in the Muslim books, but in the biblical tradition. Okay, so there were people there. Okay, for example, when these people from Yafis came, okay, Aryans are from them. Okay, when they came to India, they overcame the Dravidians, okay, and took it over completely. Similarly, when the same people, Europeans, went to Australia, for example, okay, the indigenous people were annihilated and they took over. When the Europeans came to America, the same thing happened. Okay, so I don't have to tell you what happened. So wherever these conquerors went, okay, they usually destroyed the ancient culture, ancient people. Now the question arises, were these people in Latin America, for example, in India, for example, or in Australia, part of the global flood or not? That's a good question for which I don't have an answer. Okay? Who? Yes, complete system. Complete system.
So Prophet Nuh and his progeny was also at establishing justice as well.
The books were given to him.
So it's not just merely
No. It's a system of law pertaining to the times they are in. Okay. Some basic structures are the same. Okay. But in intensity, for example, and in diversity, okay, the law becomes different, okay, fundamentally the same, okay. I'll give you an example. Example, we are told that for the people of Musa, okay, the fasting was of 3 months. For Muslims, it's 1 month, okay. And still you have leverage in prayers. Okay. You can combine, there is still 5 prayers, okay, but you can combine Zohar and Asr and Maghrib and Isha to make it easy for you. And that's why we are told, As-sahlu ashal wa tafriqu afzal. Yes. No, they had book, okay, and after we complete with this prophet, I'm going to give you a list of books, Sohaf, that were revealed to prophets before our prophet. Right from Prophet Adam, the Sohaf were revealed. These are 4 major books, no doubt about it. But a Sahifa is a smaller book, a few chapters, okay, pertaining to the time that they are living in, that they have to follow and act on in terms of social and economic justice. Okay? Very important, okay? So, no. But the center, masjid becomes the center not only of worship, but of dispensing justice, for example, okay? Making sure that the rights are, regarded, respected, okay? Our Prophet himself used the masjid, not only as a place of saying prayers, but as a court where judgment was passed on, okay? As a treasury where distribution of wealth took place, okay? And so on, okay? As a war room where strategies for battle were formulated. And nothing escaped masjid. Masjid was a center of everything, okay? Unfortunately today, masjid is just for prayers, okay? Okay? And not the center of vibrating community as it was at the time of our Prophet ﷺ. Okay? So Sam has received this, okay, message from his father that you have to keep this, okay, till Hud comes. Okay.
I think you mentioned one point that one son tried to overtook the other one to establish the system.
They conquered them otherwise. That's the correct word. That's the correct word. Yeah. The Hams, people of Ham were defeated. Okay. Okay. They took over. Yeah. When Ham's progeny left the Iraq area, okay, and they came further down to what is Arabia, Central Arabia. Okay. Ahqaf is word sometimes used. Okay. And their domain is stretched up to Hadramaut, Yemen, okay, in the south. Yemen, you know, these days we know Yemen, where Yemen is, you know. Yemen is in the southern tip of Arabian Peninsula. Okay, that's where it is. So from the central Arabia down to Hadramaut. Okay. Ad was one of the sons of Evaz. Evaz was the son of Aram. And Aram was the son of Sam. Yeah. Yeah. So there's Qawm Ad. Okay. That's how Qawm Ad comes.
These names were common because when I read Datang and Mir Hamza, these terms Ad and all these Adi or
Yeah, they were common. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now Sam's progeny has spread. As I said, in the delta it was there, and then came down. Okay, conquering one after another. Okay, till they reached, you know, the outskirts of Hadramaut in Yemen. So now the whole area is under Sam. Okay. Conquest man, you rule. So Sam's son, okay, and his grandson and his great grandson, they were all here. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept on blessing them because up till now they have not left obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So their progenies multiply, their fields are full of fruits and vegetables and grain and whatnot. Their animals are plenty. Okay. They are short of nothing. Ad's progeny, which is actually Sam's progeny, okay, but through Ad, multiplied more than anyone else. And that's why the word Ad is used for them in the Quran. You know, once again, Sam's son, Sam is the son of Noah. Sam's son is Aram. Aram's son is Og. and Oz's son is Ad. From all this, Ad's progeny multiplied most. And so the whole community, was now termed as people of Ad. Of course, there was mix-up, as children of Ham were also conquered by, Sam's children. Okay, so in this progeny there was a mixture. Okay. Slowly, the kings became dominant, and Shaddad, the son of Ad, was able to conquer everything. Shaddad, as you hear him, he tried to build a paradise on earth, okay, and the way it's described in the books, okay, the richness of it, okay, is unbelievable. Of course, he could not set his foot in, but it shows, how rich was the kingdom. Okay, they had taken over almost everything. Okay, all the riches were there. Okay, and this guy established his power even outside Arabia, which means going towards north. Okay, crossing what is Iraq today, okay, in towards Persia, and going towards south, crossing what is Egypt today, conquering everything. A city was established, okay, considered to be paradise, known as Aram, if you call. Okay. These are the words in Quran that you may have, read, but these are the descriptions, Yeah. Okay. And Quran in Surah Fajr, 89 Surah of Quran, verse number 7 and 8, okay, refers to it, okay, a city whose like has never been made. Fil Balad. Okay. So much blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And disobedience, Allahu Akbar. Okay. To them, when their disobedience rose to that level, okay, the powerful people, physically also, okay, and they're very arrogant also now. You see, when you get unlimited wealth, power, okay, authority, arrogance seeps in, even in the best of people. Okay. Sometimes even the knowledge of people, I know so much, you don't know anything. Knowledge is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? No. What we know is less than an atom's worth. Okay? And if there's something lesser than that, that's what it is. Okay? The real knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He has given to His chosen Prophet, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, okay? And through His progeny. Okay? But other than that, every declaration of entitlement of knowledge is a failure in itself. Okay? You don't know what are the limits. Okay? Still you are finding planets, for example, I have discussed many times, okay? Exoplanets, okay? Stars, universes, whatnot, okay? And our capacity is very limited. Okay? The will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unlimited. And the power to create, to sustain, or to destroy is unlimited also. So arrogance crept in. Arrogance crept in. Okay. And when it creeps in, it does three things. One, it gives you an aura of strength. That is not there, okay? Because you feel that you have the power. The power is Allah's. So that aura of strength comes. I am great. I know this. I have this. I possess this. I'm master of it, so on and so forth. Okay? That's the first thing that happens. Okay? When this happens, okay, directly the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala slips away. A mutakabbir, an arrogant person, is never surrendering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not just accepting few rules grudgingly, okay, without desire. No, it is submission knowingly and lovingly. Okay, that we submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knowingly, okay, that He's our master, that He's our creator, that He is our sustainer, that what we have belongs to Him, that He has given us. So that submission is through love and affection. Okay. That surrender is through love and affection, and not grudgingly or being without choice. Yeah. So who is the next prophet? Okay, and it is in a time like this that people have reverted to arrogance. Okay, have driven out the obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a result, the third thing is occupation, destruction, subjugation of others. With arrogance always comes the subjugation of others. When you regard others as non-human. You have seen this in the recent times, very visible. Okay. So arrogance, that aura of strength comes, which secondly drives away the obedience to Allah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and third, the subjugation of all others. Okay. Since I am powerful and they are weak, they must surrender to me. They must submit to me. By knocking down this concept, Islam says power belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no one else. The authority to dictate is His and no one else's. And that surrender and submission is only to Him and no one else. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, we'll continue with Prophet Hud next week. Next week.